Hello, everyone. So it is just 1 minute shy of 9 a.m. We will get started at 9:02. We're just waiting for some more participants to join. We can see them joining right now, and so we want to make sure they have a chance to join before we start. All right, we still have a few more coming in.
One thing. You're not crazy. You know, after like this.
Okay, I think it's safe to start. It looks like the registrants are all in now. All right. Okay. Well, welcome to Leadership Development. How to create great leaders with our leading edge learning competency-based modules. We're excited to have you here today. Today we're going to talk about leadership as it's critically important in today's dynamic and diverse workplaces, and the soft skills that help both teams and individuals reach their potential, and the modules that we provide that support that soft skill development. I am Desiree Moore. I'm the Director of Marketing and Strategic Growth here at Peregrine Global Services. And I have here with me Olin Odakoven. He is the President and CEO of Peregrine Global Services. Olin?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, everybody, depending on what time zone you're in. So delighted to be with you today to talk about a subject that's very near and dear to my heart, which is leadership. We started Peregrine Leadership Institute over 16 years ago, and from that we grew into our academic services division and operate it now as Peregrine Global Services. So leadership has been a key part of our organization for many, many years, and today we're going to talk a little bit about an aspect of that, and that's our leading edge learning competency-based modules. One of the great questions, why does leadership matter? What's the purpose of this? You know, when I do leadership workshops and seminars, I always start out with this question. Consider a bad or poor leader with whom you have worked. What impact does bad leadership have on you and your organization? You know, when we talk about this with the participants, and they start listing some areas of what the impact of bad leadership looks like, things like impacts on safety and morale and productivity, all these come into play. And then I ask them another question. Consider what an effective leader looks like with whom you have worked. What impact does good leadership have in the workplace? Usually the responses here is kind of the opposite of what we talked about with that first question. But we talk about things like how it changes people, how it improves morale, how it makes people feel good about doing their jobs, which leads to increased organizational effectiveness, productivity, and certainly safety is achieved. So what's the moral of the story? Well, the number one reason why people thrive at work is their relationship with their immediate supervisor. And from the Gallup organizational studies, they've seen that it's the number one reason why people leave their employment. Indeed, as you look at this recent graphic that shows why people change jobs, 75% of workers who voluntarily left their organizations did so because of their relationship with their immediate supervisor. Not the position. It wasn't about pay. It wasn't about benefits. The number one reason why people thrive at work is their relationship with their supervisor. Leadership matters. People don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. In that context, we have developed our leading edge learning leadership modules because leadership truly matters. And we've known that for a number of years in conducting leadership seminars and workshops here in the United States and around the world with a variety of organizations, from nonprofits to government agencies to private business to small business to large corporations. And one of the common denominators here certainly is leadership. And developing leadership skills and competencies are such a critical component of what employers are looking for. I'm an employer. I look at what values and attributes and characteristics of leadership that potential employees come to the table to get hired in this organization. So clearly, leadership matters. Leadership helps individuals to reach their potential. I was doing a workshop here not too long ago, and I always begin the workshop with write down your personal definition of leadership. And then towards the end of the workshop, which is usually about 2 or 3 days long, I ask them the same question to go back to that original definition and see what, if any, changes are necessary as a consequence of their understandings of leadership. And I go around the room and I ask each individual to describe their definition of leadership. And one of the definitions that I just so keenly aware, in fact, I wrote it down, and it's kind of a sticky note at home, so I see it every day. But it talked about how leadership is unlocking people's potential to achieve their goal. Effective leadership is always one of the main and primary drivers for growth, development, and innovation. It helps people to realize their potential. It helps unlock that potential so that people can thrive and survive at work. Leadership is truly about inspiring and motivating people to work together to achieve a common goal. Leadership is, by definition, it's a group activity. It's something that we must do together to be successful. And good leaders know how to tap into those strengths, how to tap into those opportunities with other people, how to draw them out, and how to make them more effective by inspiring their leadership potential. Effective leadership is critically important within today's dynamic and diverse workforce environment. We've all gone through this global pandemic, and now more than ever, leadership truly matters. How we communicate virtually, in person, how we motivate and inspire people across time zones, these are skills that all employees need to understand, not just positional leaders, supervisors, and managers, but truly all employees at all levels. Leadership enables teams to be more effective and for individuals to reach their potential. We talk a lot about leadership unlocking that potential. Leadership, kind of like the key to unlock the door. It's unlocking the doorway into that individual's potential. As an employer, employers have an expectation of higher education that as we receive your students as potential employees, that we expect that you help train them on some of these critical skills and competencies of leadership. Because we can teach a lot of things in the business world. When people come to us and we get hired, there's a lot of unique skills and actions associated with the position itself, and we can teach those. But one of the more difficult things that we can teach, that we have to teach, is leadership. This is where you come into play. Developing these students to be effective leaders is what it's all about. One of my leadership heroes is Admiral Grace Murray Hopper. She was the first female two-star admiral of the United States Navy. But more interestingly about Admiral Hopper was she was a computer scientist. And as such, she had a PhD from MIT in computer science, and she built the first mainframe computer for the Department of Defense in the 1950s and 1960s. And though she was a scientist, she understood the critical value of leadership. You manage things, but you lead people. These are unique skills and capabilities and competencies associated with today's workplace.
Thank you, Olin, and for delivering the why of delivering leadership education to our students. And as Olin mentioned, we are going to be talking about our leading edge learning competency-based modules. And what's really neat about these modules is that they're cross-disciplinary. So they can be used for any industry, any specific discipline to build those soft skills or those workplace skills that are most important to employers. And we've created this portfolio of online modules so that they can be mixed and matched to support the development of 8 key workplace competencies. And these competencies help us develop career-ready graduates. And the competencies that we have organized leading edge learning under are from NACE, the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And NACE colleges and employers work together to determine what 8 competencies are most important to our workforce today. And what they discovered was that critical thinking and problem solving, oral and written communication, teamwork and collaboration, digital technology, leadership, professionalism and work ethic, career management, and global intercultural fluency are all very important to an individual's success in the workplace. And specifically today, we're talking about the leadership competency. And the leadership competency is actually made up of a large number of competencies, including communication, teamwork, so on and so forth. And the modules we've developed support various facets of leadership. And so here you'll see the leadership development modules that we have available for higher education to fill in the gaps in their curriculum or enhance a current course. And you'll see business ethics, business leadership, delegation, employee performance management, entrepreneurism, leadership communications, leadership decision-making, leadership essentials, leadership foundations, leadership refresher, leadership styles, leading change, leading organizations. And I do want to note that that says 3 to 5 hours. It is 12 to 15 hours per module. So there's 4 of them, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those in depth in just a bit. Leading teams, leading the leaders, managing conflict, mentoring, and supervision. And all of these modules are really engaging and interactive. They consist of video, audio, text, activities, and quizzes to make learning more engaging. The multimedia is proven to enhance a learning experience, right? To enrich a learning environment and reinforce concepts. And so we also have an easy to navigate system in which all of this media is housed. And so students can easily move through the different sections of the module, and the student has access to this module for up to 2 years, which is a great value to the student because they can continue to go back to the module and relearn concepts that maybe they're a little fuzzy on down the road throughout their education. So talking about the organization of the module, it includes 4 to 8 sections. Each section includes instructional content related to a specific topic. And at the end of each section, the student is presented with a short section review.
Let's talk a little bit about how do you take these modules and put them into practice within your academic institution. There are a number of ways in which our leading edge learning modules can help fill gaps, help to solve problems, help to overcome deficiencies in curriculum. rounding out a leadership program. Most institutions, most academic programs have a course or two related to some aspect of leadership. And our leading edge learning modules can help fill some of those instructional gaps. Have the students do the education piece online, and then when they come into the classroom or into a virtual seminar, they can have a more richer discussion focusing on workplace application. They can also be used as co-curricular activities in a career readiness center. We have a number of schools who use it this way, where students progressively take leadership modules throughout their 3-4 years in their undergraduate program, or their 1 to 2 years in a graduate program. They can also be used as instructional content for an executive education program. Many institutions also offer, in addition to degree granting programs, non-degree granting programs of executive education, where they're reaching out to business partners and employers and providing additional educational opportunities for professional development, particularly focused at the executive level. Our modules can be used as the instructional basis for that allows then the instructors to come in and present seminar type style during their activities here. Let's take a look now at some of the specific leadership modules that we've been talking about. And the first one is our Leadership Foundations module. This module is based on one of the books we wrote called Leadership Foundations. It's a book we published a couple years ago. It's available through our Peregrine Pathways website, where we took a deep dive into some foundational concepts and principles associated with leadership. We teach an 8-day program called our Leadership Capstone series. And the first course in that Capstone series, a 2-day workshop, is called Leadership Foundations, where we introduce learners to this important concept of leadership, the Be, Know, Do Foundation. B refers to the character of the leader, the values and attributes that comprise both personal and organizational leadership. Know are those important technical and people skills. It's important to know these skills, but fundamentally, it's important to put it all together in the do dimension of leadership, which is to express and live your values and fundamentally do your leadership skills and actions to affect change, motivate people, to inspire performance, and to achieve organizational goals. The learning outcomes from the Leadership Foundations module include defining and understanding what leadership is. We describe several values and attributes of leadership, concepts such as integrity and respect and honesty, selfless service. We talk about some of the key leadership skills such as communications, time management, leadership styles. We talk about leading others. Maintaining ethics, a critical component in today's world, is ethical or values-based leadership. We talk about leading change. The essence of leadership is about change. So it's important that leaders at all levels know the foundations and understanding of what it means to lead change. We talk about conducting employee performance management, dealing with those bumps in the road that we sometimes face as leaders. How do we grow other leaders? An essential component of leadership is developing other leaders. We talk about that in this particular module. We practice inspirational leadership. As we mentioned earlier, leadership is about motivating and inspiring performance. How do you do that? What are some of the tips and techniques and best practices to practice what we call inspirational leadership, which all leads to how do you build that enduring leadership legacy? And we're not talking about the individual, this lofty thing that you're trying to achieve. The enduring leadership legacy is the success of the organization. The Leading Organizations program that Desiree mentioned earlier is actually a 4-module program, and each module is 12 to 15 hours. So the total program is around 60 hours. It was based on our book last year called Leading Organizations, and it's organized into these 4 different modules. And overall in the program, we talk about the unique transition from senior manager to organizational leader. We talk about strategic leadership and how that differs from frontline leadership. We talk about planning and ethics and governance, quality assurance, some of the various processes and techniques that organizational leaders need to have. The learning outcomes from this specific 4-module program are based on these areas right here, which are the essentially the sections of the book. We talk about performing organizational leadership activities, understanding corporate and nonprofit governance, conducting and implementing a strategic plan, and thinking strategically, establishing and maintaining the customer focus. We really believe that organizations who are customer-centric tend to do a little bit better. We talk about conducting workforce engagement, the techniques and practices to broadly and organizationally bring out the best in all employees to improve retention, identify succession. We talk about conducting organizational performance management activities, those continuous quality improvement measures that how do you track and measure things within your organization that help provide indices for growth, KPIs and such. And most importantly, perhaps, we talk about ethics, the role that ethics plays in having an ethical culture within the organization. Because even with the best intentions and even with the best goals, if organizations fail to behave and act ethically, and the individuals within that organization fail to behave and act ethically, the whole thing's going to fall apart. The third module I want you to take a look at is our leadership refresher. Now, our leadership refresher is designed specifically for those leaders who probably have had some leadership training and experience in the past, but now just need to polish it off. I really believe leadership truly is a lifelong learning process. It's an opportunity to continually grow. Yes, I'm the president and CEO of Peregrine, but I never try to miss an opportunity to grow as a leader. It's a constant learning process. In fact, this weekend, I'm going to be doing this particular seminar for a group of 12 individuals virtually, talking about leadership refresher. These are mid-career managers who are coming back into higher education to do a deep dive in leadership and change management. And so we cover a variety of topics during this, what will, for me, will be a 3-day workshop conducted virtually. But the course is the basis for that workshop. And consequently, we've got a lot of learning outcomes because we're covering a lot of topics in the leadership refresher, which is about a 30-hour online experience. And it's divided into these different areas where we talk about what is the definition of leadership, how to start with the why concept that we've probably heard about from Simon Sinek, demonstrate the power of positive expectations, or otherwise known as the Pygmalion effect, ethics and ethical decision-making, certainly, giving and receiving feedback, developing those key active listening skills so that we can understand our teams and the requirements that we do in the workplace. We talk a little bit about the dysfunctions of a team. Why do these happen? And how do we as leaders seek to overcome these? We talk about change and change management, understand why are some of the good reasons why people sometimes resist change, and what are the strategies that we as leaders can employ to help overcome these change barriers. We talk about leadership traits and characteristics, and we look at different leaders in history and in our current workplace environment to see what we can draw from them and how we can improve and adopt these for ourselves. We talk about being an inspiring leader, asking the fundamental question, would you follow you? Would you inspire you? Would you even work for yourself? Asking these questions kind of in a rhetorical sense, but it helps us to understand the role of leadership has in our teams and teamwork and in organizations.
Thank you, Olin. So we have discussed our leading edge learning modules, the different topics and learning outcomes that could be expected within those modules. But then how do you use it? How do you integrate those modules into your program or your course? Well, here at Peregrine, we try to make things as easy for you as possible. And so we have 3 different ways in which schools can purchase modules. The first is through the university's bookstore. And so how that works is a bookstore will purchase the number of modules or codes they need for the modules from us and then sell them to the students. Institutional purchase with monthly invoicing is the institution pays for the cost of the module, but only what is actually accessed within that month. And then we send the institution an invoice and they pay it. Institutions often recoup these costs through student fees and as maybe a course level or programmatic fee. And then we have learner purchase through self-registration, which allows students to go in to the module, and as they're registering for it, they will be prompted to enter their credit card information and pay for the module themselves. Also, we have two different methods for integrating our modules into your course or program. We can build you a school-specific and password-protected microsite for learner self-registration. And then we also use technical integration with your learning management system for registrations. And this, we have not found a learning management system yet that we are not compatible with. And so we have been able to integrate with all learning management systems that we've come across thus far. And so if you want to learn more about leading edge learning, the competency-based modules we just talked about, reach out to us. We're here for you, and you can access our tutorial. The tutorial is comprehensive. It provides you with all the information you need to fully understand leading edge learning, competency-based modules, the specific leadership development solution we talked about today, as well as many other solutions that we offer, and I'll talk about those in just a moment. So to gain access to the tutorial, email us. Our email is info@peregrineglobal.com. You can also call us. We're always here for you. So it's at 307-685-1555. And you may be asking yourself, how much does this cost? Well, unfortunately, I can't tell you the exact number right this second because pricing is based on the number of learner hours and the annual expected quantities. However, we are your thought partner and we'll lend the expertise of our team to collaboratively create a solution that addresses your unique challenges, goals, and time frame. Figure out what modules you need and deliver that price to you. And so, and we do have a variety of course packs in which these modules can be organized into for pricing. And so we have Course Pack Lite, which is up to 15 learner hours of content. That means the amount of time it takes a learner to complete the material. The Course Pack, which is up to 60 learner hours, and then Course Pack Plus, which is up to 135 learners. And this is beyond buying an individual module, but buying a variety of modules that you mix and match. And as I said, we have a variety of solutions. You may be familiar with Peregrine already and understand the various services and solutions that we provide to promote student success in the school and workplace, but I'm going to just briefly cover these. Peregrine got its start in higher education in knowledge-based assessment. And so we have a variety of knowledge-based assessments in accounting, business administration, criminal justice, early childhood education, general education, global business education, healthcare administration, and public administration. And then we have a value skills, which is actually a soft skills evaluation process. Very cutting edge, very objective. And so if you'd like more information about that, let us know. If you want to measure those skills that you're developing within your classroom, we're here to help you do that. And then here are the instructional solutions. So you can see leadership development on the list. That is what we just covered today. But then we also have others such as academic writing or experiential learning, and then accreditation solutions. We do have a team of experts in assessment and accreditation and education here at Peregrine, and we are here for you. And I've said we're here for you and we're your thought partner. And I just want to give you a little bit of context of who we are and what we aim to do. And we really believe we are catalysts for change. And we promote this change through our academics division, our leadership division, and our publications. And we believe we can contribute to improving the quality of higher education. We believe we can develop value-based leaders who make a difference in the world. And we lead change by leveraging a diversity of talented people across a broad spectrum of disciplines, backgrounds, experiences, and cultures. And it is with you together that we believe we can change the world. We can't do it by ourselves, but through our partnership, our thought partnership, through the solutions that we create collaboratively, we can make a difference. And then finally, here is our contact information again. Again, please reach out to us to gain access to the tutorial. We would also be delighted to provide you with a demonstration of one of our modules so that you can see it in action. You will receive some communication from us at the end of the webinar as well, if you would like to wait for that and then respond. And then we'll just look and see if there are any questions.
I haven't seen any yet. Desiree, got the chat open here. If someone has a question or, and I don't see any hands up to voice a question, but if you do have a question, certainly you could type it into the chat feature. We'll take a look at that. While you're considering questions here, just kind of recapping a couple key things here. As we talked about earlier in the webinar, clearly leadership does matter. And the whole point of this is that the expectation of we employers have of higher education is that you develop not only those key knowledge areas associated with your academic discipline, but concurrently with this, you're developing those key soft skills. Leadership broadly is one of those key soft skills. Leadership is a very broad topic. It includes a number of areas. And consequently, this is one of the reasons why in the NACE 8, the National Association of Colleges and Employers, that we have so much instructional content within the specific area of leadership, because leadership really does matter. And developing those key leadership competencies and capabilities in all incoming employees, not just new supervisors and managers, but the expectation is that leadership capabilities and characteristics are exhibited by all employees, regardless of their supervisory or positional level on an organization chart. Indeed, when we talk about leadership, we often communicate that supervision is a subset of this broader thing called leadership.
Okay, we have a question here, and looks like we're looking for some workplace advice, yes. So what to do if your boss causes a hostile environment?
What to do if your boss causes a hostile work environment? Great question. First of all, this one almost hits. Who wrote this? Almost hits home for me. We have a friend here in our town, and for the last couple of weeks, I've been doing some personal mentoring with her, because this is exactly her situation. That it isn't just her boss, but it's kind of the organizational climate has led to this creation of a hostile work environment. Now, the use of the word hostile work environment has a legal definition here associated with that from an EEO standpoint, and some practices that may be illegal here. So truly, if your boss is causing the definition of a hostile work environment, one of the solutions is to file a complaint through the Labor Department. U.S. Department of Labor, which can investigate, and people can be held accountable if that investigation leads to indeed a hostile work environment has been created through discrimination. Now, in general terms of a hostile work environment, non-legal side of the house, number one, I think, is communications. To just talk to that supervisor, talk to that boss, and say, this is kind of what's going on. Sometimes good intentions go awry, and people don't always realize that they're actually creating a hostile work environment. When confronted, and I probably shouldn't use the word confronted, but when presented with the understandings of the team and what their actions are doing, my experience is sometimes people will change. They don't realize that their actions are creating this kind of a situation in others. Maybe I'm an optimist. I know I am. I tend to see the goodness of people first. I would like to believe that once people understand about themselves, understand what their actions are, sometimes they open up for change, or can open up for change. If that doesn't work, work your way up the chain of command. go to your boss's boss and lay out the situation. Now, when you do this, don't just make it a complaint session and here's the 14 things my boss did that made me upset. You need to lay out a very deliberate, well articulated, here's the situation, here's the analysis. As a boss myself, when team members come to me and present me with problems and issues, I kind of like to see what's the issue, what's the discussion, what do you recommend? Help me make good decisions. As an old mentor of mine used to say, when you give me good information, I tend to make good decisions. When you give me bad information, I'm going to make bad decisions. And when you don't give me any information, well, it's kind of a coin toss. You decide. The point of this is to engage. If your boss is creating a hostile work environment, go to your boss and let them know. If that doesn't work, go up the food chain, go up the chain of command, maybe engage with some of your coworkers here. Most importantly, don't just think it's going to solve itself on its own. Conflict, bad workplace environments, they're not like wine. They don't get better with age. It takes deliberate leadership action to affect change. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes. And they said, okay, they will try that. And thank you. So, all right. Well, I don't see any other questions in the question box, but of course we will be in touch. And so if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us or respond to our email. And we look forward to collaborating with you more down the road and being your thought partner.
Yes. Thank you very much.